want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe's going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert and all of a sudden bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to Bulls vs. Blazers. We're back with a free episode. We haven't done a free episode in a couple of weeks. We, shout out to the Patreon family. We gave you guys a couple in a row just because of the way the schedule worked out, and there were just things we wanted to talk about on there. But we're back with a free episode. You can find us, as always, on Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere else you can get podcasts, YouTube, subscribe, rate, review. Shout out to the Patreon family again. You can get us on patreon.com/Bulls v Blazers. Cardi B is on there. David Guetta is on there. Shout out to the family.
Yes, exactly. Our big time fans, David Guetta and Cardi B, members of the family, of course.
Sean Highkin, Erik Gundersen. How you doing? How you feeling?
Doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. A little tired, but as one would be tired in these times.
These unprecedented times.
These unprecedented times. These uncertain times. All coming together as one big ol' shit time. But anyway, at least there's been. Even though it's been also very problematic, there has been basketball on.
Some of the games that have been scheduled have been played. Some haven't.
Yes. There was another. We are recording this on Tuesday, January 12th. There was another game postponed tonight, the Bulls and Celtics game.
I think there's 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, and 2 tomorrow. And I think both of the Wizards Jazz games that were scheduled to be played this week have also been canceled or postponed. So that is where we are as a league. This is the same day that the NBA announced some new protocols, some of which I could not believe were not protocols yet. One of which was not being able to have non-team guests at the hotels, which would seem like a no-brainer, but
I think the players' union probably pushed for that. Originally, but it's like that's one of those ones where, look, if you're gonna do it without a bubble, I understand that, like, doing the bubble, obviously from a safety standpoint, doing the bubble would have been the thing to do, but just for a variety of reasons, doing another bubble was just not something that anybody was going to sign up for, whether it was the players, the team staffers, the league office, the owners, the team.
I just heard LeBron talk about it because Dan Wojcicki from the LA Times asked him about what he thought about doing a bubble again, and he's like, every time you bring this up, Dan, you give me PTSD. Like he was saying that he has the photographic memory of 96 days being there in the bubble, and he does not want to go back. And it's just like, and one of the things he was saying is that being that they live in LA County, that he thinks that the new NBA protocols are not going to be that different from what he has to do at home anyway. But even Alex Caruso, he went to a house, like he did something that was dumb, like to expose himself. Like he went to a friend's house. You know what I mean?
Remember Alex Caruso, back in the summer, had the choice between going to the bubble and going to his sister's wedding, and he decided to go to the bubble.
Yeah.
So Alex Caruso knew what the deal was with all this stuff. Now,
listen, and it's not, they're not playing for a championship right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, right. I think one of the unspoken things here, and it's like, it's messed up. And I think Nasir Little of the Portland Trailblazers can attest to this more than anybody. Like, this shit can really mess you up, even if you're a good athlete with a really good immune system. But I do think one of the things that is just unspoken here, and with the Kyrie thing as well, like him not wearing a mask at that thing, like I think just NBA players just don't think that they're as susceptible to having complications from the coronavirus.
And for the most part, they're not, just scientifically, but that doesn't mean there's a 0% chance that they will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, Nasir Little is like the example here of someone who had it and was like
that kid from Florida State that had the heart issue.
Yes, exactly. And he like now has myocarditis, where it's I don't know if it's myocarditis, but he has some kind of like thing.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, where the heart muscle has been affected, and it's just like, how many guys could that happen to? And it's just like. And I'm glad that they've taken that now, like the Players Union has recognized that has to happen to keep going and to keep everyone safe. I do think that was something that happened over the weekend. CJ McCollum was talking about it last night after the Blazers game against the Raptors, and he's part of the executive board for the NBPA, so he knows obviously what he's talking about. And so he told us that there were going to be some new protocols coming out. So obviously they had talked about it for the past couple of days going into Monday. So those things don't just happen out of the blue. So they had been working on this, but it's I mean, they're going to keep playing games. I mean this is what it is. Like
the big protocol changes. You've got the no more guests in hotel rooms, which makes sense. No more going out to restaurants, which makes sense.
Yeah, which I thought that was one already as well.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe
there were like
honestly,
there were like three restaurants in each market that were approved, and most of them were owned by Tillman Fertitta.
Right. Yeah, and it's like they've eaten at those they had to eat at those all in the bubble too. I mean, yeah, and then they have their hotel room service, which would probably be the same at most places. So
they could probably get good shit at like the room service.
They probably could. I mean, they probably are at hotels where they have like multiple types of kitchens that specialize in different types of food. But
the rule change that I think is really going to move the needle, though, is elbow bumps instead of high fives. That's really going to be the thing that changes the amount of times that COVID gets transmitted during
an NBA during a contact sport played indoors. Where this is the other thing, man, that they're not doing. And I know that this may be hypocritical because I've been going to games and working at them for the AP, but.
Oh, we'll talk about this.
Seeing these markets, though, man, like that have fans, like watching the Lakers Rockets game tonight was really jarring. Like there were like a lot of fans in the lower bowl at that game, and like the Memphis Grizzlies have people sitting courtside, and there's a bunch of teams that are like. Obviously, like the Blazers, I think, are doing a great job of being socially distanced and creating room for everybody. And I think a lot of teams on the West Coast are, but and in a lot of other markets as well. But it's just it does seem, and like I don't think they're doing it in places like Atlanta or Miami or Orlando. I haven't seen
Atlanta. They are having fans.
They are having fans in Atlanta.
Yeah. In Tampa, the Tampa Bay Devil Raptors had to stop having fans. They just put out a press release like 2 days ago that said that they were going to pause having fans because cases are spiking in Florida, which, I mean, especially for a team that doesn't even like have fans in that city.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even like it's their home fans watching their home team that they're playing there literally because the country that they normally play in has their shit together more than we do.
Right, exactly. And it's like they're literally playing there only for the money. And it's just like, okay, and we get that, but like there's no reason to have fans there. Like you're there to recoup the TV money or not. You have to realize, but a lot of these teams obviously are not realizing that they need to just take the L on home gate revenue.
Just wait 3 months until more people can get the vaccine, and then you guys can start selling tickets again.
Shout out to David Guetta. Get the vaccine.
Yeah, get the vaccine. I actually had a COVID scare this week.
Yes, you did.
Over the weekend.
Yes, you did. You did.
Relating to covering these games, which we've both been covering these games. I haven't gone to everyone. You haven't gone to everyone, but I was at the Blazers game against the Timberwolves last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And about an hour before the game started, another media member, I'm not going to say who it is because it's a friend of mine and I don't want to put them on blast, but or like blow up their spot or whatever, but
mm-hmm.
a friend of mine who was there who I was sitting quote unquote next to, but it was still 6 feet apart. And
the socially distanced, the way that
Yeah.
they have like several seats between people.
Yeah, and it was all it was the Blazers. Just to be clear, the Blazers have done a really good job.
They have done an
having
amazing
this
job.
thing
I
all
like.
set up.
I feel safe there, but it's like
Yeah. I do too. I did too. Even though I'm not going to be going to any more games, but I do too. But so about an hour before the game started, this person got a call from a contact tracer that said that they about a week prior had been around somebody who had tested positive. And so I immediately left. Like I was just like, I it's not worth it for me to be at this Blazers Timberwolves game just where I might be around somebody who the game ended up being a blowout anyway, so whatever. But so I left. The next day this person got tested again. They tested negative, so I figured I was probably in the clear.
Right.
And then I was actually fully planning on going to the game against the Raptors last night.
Right.
But,
which I was at last night against the.
That was an awesome game too.
It was a phenomenal game, and but continue.
But so then I wake up in the morning. Well, so first of all, so that night I get a call from after I get home from the arena, because I left as soon as this I heard about this person who had been exposed. Or been potentially exposed. So I left immediately, and then about an hour after I got home, I got a call from somebody in Blazers HR just to tell me kind of what the deal was, and that they basically told me that based on the amount of time that I was around this person and how we were distanced and we all had our masks on, it was pretty unlikely that I would be exposed. And
wear your masks.
Everybody at these games that I've seen has been wearing their mask, but so we kind of all just. They told me it was pretty unlikely that I would be exposed, and that if this other person tested negative, that I'd be in the clear, and then the next day that person tested negative. And so I wake up yesterday morning, and I just kind of feel off. I just, I feel like my back and my legs are just kind of aching, and I don't feel like a fever, or I don't have a cough or anything like that. I didn't lose my sense of smell or anything. But I just know that muscle aches and fatigue are technically listed on the list of
the
potential
symptoms.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was just like, well, okay, I'm not gonna. And it's actually funny, I decided that day that I wake up, I'm feeling a little bit weird. I decide I'm gonna go get myself tested. And while I'm making the arrangements with my, health insurance provider to go get tested, I get a call from the same woman with Blazers HR telling me that I was in the clear to go to the game that night. And I had to just tell her actually I might not be in the clear. I don't feel great right now. And then I went and got tested. I have never been COVID tested before. So this is my first time in the 10 months or whatever this thing has been going on getting a test. And so I went and got tested. And then when I got home, I just started to feel worse. I started to, I felt a little bit feverish. I started to feel some chills. And so I basically went to bed last night convinced that I had it. And then, it must have just been a one-day thing, because I think I didn't sleep that much last night, but my fever broke overnight. So I woke up feeling not 100%, but better. And then
that clearing feeling that you had after that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I checked. They had told me the test results would be 48 to 72 hours, so I didn't even think I'd know one way or the other. And I wasn't I was totally isolating and just not doing anything or having any contact with anybody until I got my results. That was my plan the whole time. But I wake up this morning and I had an email that said that my test results were available. And so I looked and it was negative. So I'm good. But I think I just decided after this that even though, again, we feel pretty safe at these games, I'm just not going to go to any more of them until I've gotten the vaccine. Because it's not worth the risk. It's just not worth, anything outside of what's necessary. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at.
No, I understand. Yeah. My situation with going to games is a little bit different, because I'm literally only going to games that I'm going to get paid to go to.
Right.
So that's my situation. And so And like, I'm not trying to hang out there a long time after the game. Like I found
I always bounce right after the Zoom call.
Like
unless I have to write.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if I have to write, if I don't have like an immediate deadline, I can just go home and write from there.
Yeah, no, amen. Like it's like that's also something that is like, okay, like if I haven't gotten edits back or something, you know, I'm gonna book my ass home so I can do the second draft, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and so, but it's, I mean, man, it is a weird experience, and living through it, and like being at the game, and then seeing all these teams, you know, have guys out and games postponed. It has been kind of surreal. I mean, especially after what happened with the bubble. And also what was a little surreal was seeing, I'm not gonna lie, seeing Kyrie at a party, no mask. Like, come on, man. Like, you're smart. You should know better to wear a mask, at least if you're going to be around people. And also having a party. I mean, Kyrie having
Don't put that shit on social media. That's the thing that these guys need to know.
Well, also, it's like, here's the thing. Kyrie is doing nothing different than any rich person in this country. And by having a party for his loved ones. Because that has been what has, and a lot of other people in this country, don't just have to be rich, where they've all gotten together as families, they've exposed themselves more to COVID, and people are seeing, you know, cases spike as a result. We are seeing all this happen, and it's just like, I mean, what Kyrie's doing is just a reflection of what everyone else is doing, frankly. I mean, that is really, to me, what I see out of Kyrie is just like, he's doing what everyone else is doing. And it's like, and he's just taking off work right now. And it's just like but I think the Nets, I mean, they didn't have KD for a long time, and KD just really stepped up and was like a baller tonight against the Nuggets, man. 34, 13, and 9.
Steve Nash actually had a term for Kevin Durant tonight in his post-game press conference.
Which was?
He called him a walking bucket.
Steam face emojis.
The Steve Nash experience so far is a lot of steam face emojis in these press conferences.
Yeah, he's really starting to nail coach talk with the media. He's gotten quite good at it. But
he's even channeling Jim Boylan, because tonight he said that they needed this win for their soul.
Which Jim Boylan loves a good soul. But yes,
I mean, who doesn't love a good soul? But...
Yeah, of course. Or like Jesse McCartney, Beautiful Soul. The classic jam by Jesse McCartney.
I have not thought about that song in the longest time.
But
is he the greatest artist whose last name is McCartney? Who's to say?
I think there's a dialogue to be started for sure. But Durant was just, dude. And again, Jokic with another incredible stat line, another good night, but another Nuggets loss.
Are the Nuggets going out like Stan Chera?
They were playing better too, which was funny, and they had actually been playing better away from home as of late, but they do seem to be struggling to find something else outside of Jokic, and it has been a struggle, and their defense has been bad also. That has to be said, and I think that's another thing with Jeremy Grant being gone that they're lacking. And as I know he's not a good defender, but Michael Porter Jr. just being 6'9" would help, or 6'10", whatever he is, would help. And he's a good rebounder. Like, just having him would probably be nice. And they also don't have Torrey Craig, who was a big part of their team over the past couple of years. So they are missing some guys, and I think it's kind of showing up for them right now. The fact that the Nets won was impressive and Durant was great, but I do believe that the Nuggets do have some problems, and with the way the West is, and I think Golden State's playing so much better, and and San Antonio is really solid. You can't keep on losing games, and they have been playing better, but you don't want this to become a trend. And I think also going into Thursday, that game against Golden State's going to be real big for both teams, I think, as far as their playoff outlooks.
Yeah, the Warriors, basically since Draymond has come back, they've been, and I mean, we obviously, I think we probably saw this coming to a degree. Just getting Draymond back was going to help them, but
yeah, but
they've been a totally different team since he came back.
Yeah, I mean, when they beat the Blazers and Draymond had that game where he was just so dominant and had like 1 point,
Yeah.
It was just, he just made everybody else more confident. Like Wiggins seems to have a little bit more pep in his step. And it's just, I think it's partially because Draymond will just help put everybody in their right place and do a lot of the things that those guys probably don't want to do, as far as like the little things on defense or passing and creating and thinking of things of how to attack the offense or how to attack the defense. And they are playing really well. They're going to be I think this game that they're going to be playing right now I have it on right now. The Pacers and Warriors. I actually think it's going to be quite a good game because the Pacers also have been. I think we have to shout out Bjork.
My man Bjork.
Regardless of the result, I think we have to shout out Bjork. Just the way he's been coaching. They've been doing such a great job of utilizing the post offense. Dan Devine wrote a great thing about him on The Ringer. About utilizing Sabonis's ability to create out of the post, and also just they have a lot of guys, and they're doing this without TJ Warren, who's out for a while with a knee injury. So shout out to Bjork and all the things. Again, the coach, the players are talking about Bjork. Is just, it's so funny just how much much more they respect him than they respected Nate McMillan, it seems like.
Which is too bad because we both like Nate. We both dealt with Nate.
I thought Nate was like really like I thought he coached them up really well. We
were both team justice for Nate McMillan when he got fired.
Yeah, like I thought that he did a good job with that roster, and right now they're doing some nice things though, and I think maybe the coaching change. I mean, Larry Bird is a proponent of this, and he's not, in charge of the day-to-day, but he does believe that after 3 seasons or so, coaches end up running out of like their ability to reach their team. And
I wonder how much that comes into play now, though, in this current age where players change teams so much. There's not really, I mean, obviously there's exceptions wherever, but like, there's not a lot of teams where the core players are in the same place for, 5, 8, 10 years at a time. That's like the Duncan, Popovich, Parker, Ginobili groups, or the Erik Spoelstra, Dwayne Wade, or, I guess we can put Damian Lillard and Terry Stotts kind of in this now, or like Dirk and Rick Carlisle before Dirk retired. Like, this is like, that just doesn't really happen anymore. Cause it's not like, even if LeBron, let's say the Lakers win the next like 3 titles in a row, it's not like, wow, LeBron and Frank Vogel are they're not going to be in the same, category as like a Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan, where they were together for 20 years. It's just like, that just like doesn't happen anymore. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if the Larry Bird philosophy about that really comes as much into play nowadays when players change teams so much anyway. It's not like you don't have to worry about like,
but with respect to the Pacers, they didn't really change that much.
No, they didn't.
So like, I mean, yes, I think in general, you're right that theory may not be as right, but maybe with the Pacers, because they've had this roster. I mean, they brought back basically their entire team from last year. They didn't do the Oladipo trade. They have basically. He's
been pretty good, by the way.
Right. And I think maybe having a new coach probably helped, maybe helped get him out of the mindset of like, I need to leave, by having just having every day be a little different than what he's used to. And I think also too, in this coronavirus season, which in a lot of ways feels like an extension of the bubble, I think also having a new voice is a big thing. I think it really helps. And I think we're seeing it with Philadelphia too. Like, I think having a new voice, especially if you're keeping your team together for the most part, or at least keeping your core group, and it hadn't worked out or it felt stale, which I think it both did for the Pacers and the Sixers. As much as we loved Nate McMillan, it did feel kind of stale. I think it helps them because they get it refreshes them a little bit in really a season that it just feels like more of the same monotony of the bubble, except I think Nick Nurse said it last night. I was on the Raptors Zoom last night, and Nick Nurse said it's like we're just in a portable bubble at all times. We're constantly living in a bubble but moving. Because, they're taking private flights, they're getting on private buses, they're staying in their hotel rooms. And I do think that having new head coaches probably has been a big factor for why Philadelphia and the Pacers have been such impressive teams to start the season, really.
Back to the Kyrie thing for a second.
Yes.
I just want to shout out everybody who was really just going hard for him, going to the party.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Just shout out to I just very much enjoyed the cognitive dissonance that we got there.
The capes were out. Yes. The people that are constantly shaming their timeline for anything related to mask wearing or going anywhere will give Kyrie a pass on having a massive gathering of his family not wearing a mask.
But Eric, did you consider though that the NBA is asking these players to play in games, which could cause COVID to be transmitted, and therefore nobody can get mad at anything that anybody else did. Never mind, by the way, that Kyrie is on the executive board of the players' union that negotiated all this stuff.
Yeah. It's all. The discourse.
I just want to say that, if you're in the Patreon family, you can go back and listen to the episode that we did back when the whole, not talking to the media thing happened, where we kind of warned everybody against, holding him up as
standing super hard for Kyrie. Yeah.
Holding him up as like the hero of the common man against the the establishment forces or whatever.
Yeah, the establishment, the management forces of the NBA.
Right. Just we always tell you to keep your third eye open on Bulls vs. Blazers. Our third eyes were open back then. Our third eyes continue to be open. And that's probably that's kind of all I've got to say on that. But I did find it funny though. I mean, he was on some Zoom thing tonight to launch the candidacy of someone who's running for like district attorney in New York or something. I didn't really see like who that was. That's cool. And I also just think it's so funny that's going to now go onto the pile of like whenever anybody criticizes him for anything, it's going to be, but he donated money to the WNBA players, or he was doing. It's like, he was helping, he's getting involved in the local politics. Isn't that great? Like, should we? And it's like, okay, but he also is just violating COVID protocols. B, just blowing off this. He is under contract. He does have to show up and play these games. And when before the game started, first of all, the statement that the Nets put out today was not like we support Kyrie in all of his endeavor. It was just a very matter of fact, like, Kyrie's not with the team. We'll address it at a later time.
They said Kyrie will address it when he's ready, is what they said also.
And then when someone asked Steve Nash before the game whether he thinks he'll be back this season, Steve Nash was like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like, if you're Kevin Durant and I know Kyrie's his boy, but like if you're Durant and you basically you took this swing, basically you wanted to rewrite your own legacy. You didn't like how you were treated by, the media, the discourse, whatever.
Bro.
When you were in Golden State, when you were the best player in the league for 3 years, but you didn't get the credit because it was Steph's team, and you wanted to go write your own legacy and, you go to Brooklyn and start your own thing. And Kyrie was the guy that you decided to do it with, and you guys kind of orchestrated it. You guys got your coach involved. You guys you got your buddy DeAndre a contract too. Like, you guys did all this stuff together. How do you think Kevin Durant is feeling? Like, is he just like, I'm just going to let Kyrie cook. I'm going to let him be an artist right now. Or is Kevin Durant looking at this? Is he just like, yeah, really, dude? Like, you can't like play. You can't show up. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. And Kevin Durant has had COVID, obviously, and he just had to miss 2 weeks for health and safety protocols.
Yeah.
And I also think that I do think that he was down to trade Kyrie for James Harden before the season, but obviously his people and his messaging obviously were saying the opposite. But it just seems like that is so what Durant would want. If I would, that's how I would feel. If it's like, all right, this guy's going to quit on me and leave me be and just let me do this thing. And like, I have to go to work while he gets to be off and I have to do all these things. And it's like this one guy that I do trust that, maybe he's out of shape. Maybe he parties a lot too, but it's like, he's way more reliable. He's way more durable. He plays more games. It's the proof is in the pudding with James Harden. And also as we speak, James Harden just dropped a massive bomb.
Yeah, I literally was just going to bring this up.
James Harden just dropped a massive bomb. I'm quoting Rockets insider Ali Khan Bijani, and he said James Harden is saying, "I love this city. I've done literally everything I can. This situation is crazy. I don't think it can be fixed. Thanks." And he left the podium, and so that just feels like a please trade me now. and Kyrie, it seems like he's almost like doing him a favor. The only question is does Houston want to do that? I think really is what that question comes down to. And honestly, one of the conversations about James Harden is you're like, I think I've heard Zach Lowe and a lot of people talk about this. You're trading him for 2 seasons of being in a championship window. With Kyrie, you're not really trading for that, but I don't know at this stage, especially if Houston really wants to move on from the Harden scenario that badly, which I'm not sure that they do, but it does seem like he does. And I don't know what kind of toll that takes on a team. Do they just decide like, hey, give us Kyrie, Jared Allen, Joe Harris, and picks, and we'll call it good? Like, and then you basically just get a whole new team that actually cares and is competent and was just like, or maybe you get LeVert instead and you get like you get those guys, and it's like those guys were just in the playoffs in the East. Like, they're not bad. And it's like, maybe it's worth having a not bad team with guys that care instead of Harden, who really just does not care, clearly.
I don't know if I really want to sign up for the Kyrie experience if I'm Houston, though.
Okay, but that's why you ask for other things too.
Well, right, but then you still have to deal with the Kyrie stuff. Like you still have to deal and yes, I know how good he is when he plays, but I don't know if you've noticed he hasn't really been playing much lately, and not because he's injured. There's always just going to be this stuff, and like if you're Steven Silas, do you want to you're just having to deal with this Harden stuff in your first year as a head coach? Do you want to trade that in for another, the Kyrie experience? It's not the same exact thing as the Harden thing, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd want to do that if I'm Houston.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is I think if you get more guys though, and you can make it like a firewall situation where you have at least a base number of guys, where like the way kind of Boston had it and the way the Nets had it last year, where you have this base level of competency where if Kyrie plays, great, but if he doesn't play on a nightly basis, you have a team out there that can compete. And I think the Nets, if they throw Kyrie into a trade with, let's say, okay, they're not going to trade Kyrie and LeVert, but so let's say they trade Kyrie and...
That's what I would need if I was Houston.
Well, okay, say they trade Kyrie. I mean, that's just more guys that need the ball, and you also have John Wall already. Like, I'm just saying, like, maybe you ask for Joe Harris because they definitely need some more shooting. I think
Can Joe Harris be traded?
Oh, no, maybe not. That's a problem. But yeah, so then it's LeVert, I guess. I mean, LeVert and Kyrie and Allen still is worthy of James Harden. Like, that's not that crazy. And it's like you get another center, but also I don't, how much does Houston want Jared Allen with the Christian Wood thing? Like, Christian Wood is really good, but I mean, does Jared Allen want to be a backup in Houston? Like, there's a lot of questions there.
It's not any different than what he's been doing in Brooklyn.
That's a good point. And maybe he gets more minutes. And I just think that trade works out maybe best for Houston when I look at because at least you get a star, you get someone that can sell tickets and whatnot with Kyrie, and maybe can also, if you're in the playoffs, win you a couple playoff games. But I just don't.
Woj just tweeted that James Harden is aware that the Rockets are continuing to discuss trade scenarios with teams, although no deal is imminent, sources told ESPN. Houston's asking price remains steep, as you'd expect it would for a player of Harden's caliber.
Right. So it's, I guess it's just going to be how it's going to be. I guess so. I guess because it's
the thing that's kind of messing with what leverage Houston has is that Philadelphia is so good that I don't think they're really trying to trade Ben Simmons for Harden right now.
No, they're not. I mean, I don't think that they are. I mean, they did just get Simmons back. He's been dealing with some injuries. Maybe that would be a concern if you're trying to talk yourself into how that trade could happen now. Is one way to look at it, but I don't see them doing that. And with the way Embiid has played, I mean, man, Embiid has been great. Harris has been great. I don't know if you want to mess that up, what you have with what everyone
Sixers are good. The Sixers should just ride it out with what they've got. I don't know if I'd want to introduce the James Harden element. As good as he is, I don't know if I'd want to introduce. If you have a team that's clicking, they've got a good coach, they've got all this stuff. I don't know if I would do it.
We've never seen a team, how far a team can go with this Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
He is. I think LeBron is number 1 on my MVP ballot, and then Embiid is number 2.
It's like Embiid. If Denver had a better record, Jokic would be in there because he's
right. But their record, their record is what it is. Like they're unfortunately.
Honestly, I think Durant is in that mix too. He's been incredible. Obviously, I don't think he's going to win it just because he's won. You know, he missed a bunch of games already, and I think that's a lot of this is going to come down to like who misses the fewest games with the safety stuff because it's going to be so weird. But I'm with you. I think Embiid is like right in that mix, and this is this thing that Zach Lowe has kind of harped on for years on his podcast, which is if Joel Embiid is ever fully engaged and ever just brings it every night, he could be the best player in the league. And this is kind of that version of Joel Embiid is finally what we're getting this year.
Yeah, I mean, he had 45 and 16 tonight, I think is what his final line was. I'm looking up exactly what the final line was tonight. 45, 16, 5 steals, 4 assists. Just a masterclass against the non-Bam Adebayo was out, obviously, against the Heat, but still, like, you know, it doesn't matter who you're going against. You're going against an NBA team that is impressive, and they needed every bit of it because they didn't have Harris. They're playing with more Tyrese Maxey and Dakota Mathias, who had
Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe had a big game.
The jersey that says Joe on the back is just iconic.
That's a pretty swaggy jersey. If I were a Sixers fan, I would definitely have a Isaiah Joe jersey. I mean, Tyrese Maxey had 39 over the weekend in one of the COVID protocol games that they had because of the shortage of players because of the testing and whatnot. Man, but I think Embiid, I mean, he just looks so jacked this year. Like, he just looks like way more ferocious athletically. And he's doing everything. I mean, it's really impressive what he's done. And basically when he's out on the court, it seems like they're going to win. They've had, I mean, that one Brooklyn game which was the COVID game, when Seth Curry got pulled mid-game. And I don't know if that had anything to do with them playing so poorly. But that was really the only game that I saw of them that I was like, wow, these guys didn't look good. But other than that, they've been really solid.
Yeah, and then you've got the Sixers have had all these issues. Obviously, the Heat are kind of dealing with that right now. You've got the Celtics with, 10 guys out or whatever. They've had 3 games postponed now. It's just kind of a tough. And by the way, the Raptors after last night, they're 2-8. That's kind of rough.
Yeah, that is brutal, and it's that's
the team I might try to do. Take us if I'm Masai. That's the team I might try to take a swing on the Harden thing.
The thing about that, though, is that they were playing really well, and they did play really well against Golden State too. And it's like, it does seem like Siakam has started to figure it out a little bit over these last, 5 games or so. And when Siakam figures it out, it seems like everything else kind of clicks into place for Toronto. They have a problem though in the middle. They are long, they are athletic. Nick Nurse does not trust their centers. He does not trust Alex Len. He does not trust
Aaron Baines. Been terrible.
Yeah, Baines has been bad. He does not trust him. He's benched him like solidly. He's stuck on the bench. And Len started the game against Portland yesterday and then didn't play at all in the second half. And Nurse before the game was talking about how they've got to figure out a way to get those guys in the game. And I think they thought that playing against Nurk was a great way to do that. And then Nurk gets hurt and then they just go small. And I just don't know how they fix that issue, because they can go small. They can play with Siakam and OG and Boucher all at center, and they can get by, and they can, but I think they were, down the stretch. I thought Boucher was getting boxed out a lot by Melo, who had that was an epic finish by Carmelo last night. 13
much
points
to the chagrin of some people.
Much to the chagrin of the people on Blazers Twitter who are very invested in his demise. It
was just really, really tough for them.
It was a difficult night for those folks, as Melo hit a bunch of clutch shots, including one in front of the Raptors bench that was talking. They were talking so much during the game. Like, they yell on every shot, every attempt that the other team makes, every free throw, and they were talking shit to Melo, and Melo was talking back, and it was just a classic. Like, that was the really fun part for me to see, and to see Melo do that. And then obviously CJ with the game winner. I mean, CJ McCollum is also on CJ McCollum also on the MVP ballot. Just going to put him out.
CJ has been the Blazers' best player this season.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm putting him on my early season MVP ballot, because he's been that amazing. Like, I think Kevin Pelton posted his newest real plus minus, and I think Jokic was number 1 and CJ was number 2. And then I think Steph was number 3 in real plus minus. Like, CJ is, and some of the 3-point numbers that CJ has been putting up are things that only Steph Curry has done before in a season. And he deserves he should be an all-star. I think if Portland is even where they are right now and they maintain being in the 5th place in the West or 4th place, I think they will both be all-stars, even though there's no all-star game. I just think that he deserves it. And I think, right now, I think he deserves some love for MVP. I mean, he's got 2 game winners this year. He's got that one against the Rockets in overtime. And then he also had this one. I mean, I don't know anybody else who has 2 game winners so far this season.
We haven't really talked about the Steph thing since he kind of came alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I think he's probably up there as well. I think you've got to have him on that top 5 in the MVP right now as well. I mean, he's just been so incredible since Draymond came back, and he has someone else to kind of help just be a director, and just put guys in the right place. Like Steph, I think always has needed Draymond to help do that and help execute the vision for what he needs. And Draymond is the best at that. And he's been incredible. Yeah. Steph has been phenomenal. I'm not showing a lot of love right now to the Clippers, I guess. And the Suns have had a little bit of a struggle lately, but because they lost to Detroit, and that was a rough game for them. I still like them. I still think they're all right. I don't really have any long-term concerns about Phoenix, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
They're going to be fine. The Clippers are just they're just inconsistent. I mean, this is just who they are.
So Doc wasn't the issue. Just getting rid of Doc wasn't the thing that was going to fix it.
No. I guess that is what I'm telling you. Yeah, that Doc wasn't the only issue. They're basically kind of the same team that they were last season. I mean, Ty Lue is doing some different things, but for the most part, they kind of have that same. It's just kind of how they handle themselves. It's not really as much like what Ty Lue is doing. It's not anything Ty Lue is doing or not doing. You know what I mean? I just think that this is kind of who they are. Is that they're just kind of there. And I do wonder about the Lou Williams thing, because it does feel like it hurts him not having Montrez. And Montrez has been great for the Lakers, and one of the big reasons why the Lakers have just been steamrolling teams. So they can put Montrezl Harrell in, and they can steamroll teams and keep LeBron on the bench, down the end of games. But not having Montrez, I think, really hurts Lou. And I do wonder though, like what's the market for Lou Williams? Like it sounds good in a hypothetical, yeah, like the Clippers should trade Lou Williams and see what they get, but what is the market right now for Lou Williams? I don't know that many teams would be really chomping at the bit here to trade for Lou Will at this stage of his career, especially if you're having him leave.
He's 34. I just looked up how old he is because I didn't realize how old he was. He's 34. I
mean, he can still get buckets, but like he is not a good playoff performer. For the most part, he's had like that one game where they came back from like 30 down against the Warriors in the first round a couple of years ago was like, that's like his most iconic moment. And for the most part, he kind of fades in the postseason. And I don't know how many teams that I'm looking at right now. I'm like looking at teams in the East, Boston, no, Philly, no, Milwaukee. I mean, maybe Philly actually, because Doc loves him, but and they have Dwight. So maybe Philly, actually. I take it back. Philadelphia is one team that I would be interested in for Lou Will. And he did play there
homecoming?
Before. A homecoming. That is the one team that I'm looking at right now. Milwaukee, I don't see it. Pacers, I don't see it. Orlando, they're not going to make a trade like that. Why would Charlotte do that when they already have enough trouble finding minutes for LaMelo? Like, I don't see it for Brooklyn. I don't see it for Atlanta. Like, I mean, I know they lost. Oh, speaking of Atlanta, shout out to Bogey's family, with the broken with the broken kneecap. That's brutal. And then I'm looking at the West, like Clippers. I mean, Jazz, Lakers, Suns, Warriors, Mavs. Like, I don't see any teams here that would be like, yes, let's trade for Lou Williams. Like, I mean, Philadelphia is really the only one that maybe you could talk yourself into. That's someone that they could trade for, but then I don't even know what you get if you're the Clippers for that.
Have you seen what George Hill said tonight about the COVID protocols that they just put out?
No, I did not. And he's on the Thunder?
He is on the Thunder.
That's right.
This is the quote. I'm a grown man, so I'm going to do what I want to do. If I want to go see my family, then I'm going to go see my family. If they can't tell me what I'm going to do. If it's that serious, maybe we shouldn't be playing.
Wow. I mean, it's a conversation. I mean, I just,
not great.
No, it's not great. It's not great. Obviously it seems like everyone in the league, whether they're on a sabbatical like Kyrie or are showing up to work every day, are not happy. That much seems clear. And it seems like the Lakers, it was funny watching the Lakers. Like, it seems like the Lakers are like the only team having a good time right now. Like, it was just like,
because they're chilling. They just like, if they have to, like, I think a big part of it also is that, like, LeBron's old. LeBron's got kids. Like, LeBron's not really like out. LeBron's not missing out on a lot by not being able to go anywhere. Like, he kind of got all that stuff out of his system in Miami. He's chilling at this point. And I think everybody else on the team is just, because they all still respect LeBron so much, that they're just like, none of them are going to, like, Alex Caruso went to a thing and it's like, what were you going to say?
Well, no, yeah. It's like, well, the GOAT is they're like, to them, it's like, oh, the GOAT is doing this. Like, I'm going to follow suit. And it's like, also, it's like, for them, it's very easy to see the benefits. Like, it gets you paid, you get bigger contracts, you win championships, you get more Instagram followers, you get more everything if you win, and if you win with LeBron James. And it's like, so for the Lakers, it's like the cost benefit of staying in your hotel room and not messing up is so much more, it's so much higher.
Yeah.
If you're a member of the Lakers, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more that you could fuck up if you don't do that as a member of the Lakers. And I mean, and they seem so locked in right now, and they are playing like such beautiful basketball. Now that they have KCP back too, like they're just even more, they have a different gear when he's on the floor. Like they're so dominant right now. And I just don't see how really, anybody can beat them in a 7-game series.
That LeBron shot where he hits the corner three and he turns around before it goes in to stare at the bench. That's just that was so disrespectful.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was
awesome.
the Steph Curry move, where
you know what it reminded me of? It was like the Swaggy P like celebrating the shot before it went in, but it actually went in.
Right, exactly. And that's the difference between Swaggy P and LeBron James, I think. Among
other things.
Among many other things, but I think that's one of the biggest differences that you could note between it just really breaks it down for you.
Did you see what John Wall said tonight after the Harden thing?
No, but I mean, Houston, man, has been an amazing.
Should we bring back Making the Band Houston back from like one of the OG network shows?
Yeah, Making the Band Houston might have to make a return because this is also, I have to say, I don't think that John Wall's poor play tonight can't be disconnected from the fact that they had to wear blue jerseys tonight.
This is a free episode. We can't really go into.
No, I'm not. I just wanted to state that.
I didn't say anything. So speaking of similar things, do you watch Insecure?
Yes.
Do you know there's that one character that lived in Issa's apartment complex that's like in the Bloods and would always just use the word B?
Yes.
You say B words for like even things that started with K. Be like, I need some Bleenex.
Yes, exactly.
I saw a tweet yesterday. I don't remember who it was from, but I saw some tweet yesterday that was like, that character on Insecure is going around talking about how we all need to take COVID-19 and the coronavirus seriously. And that was like, that's my favorite side character on Insecure. But anyway, speaking of John Wall, so John Wall says tonight.
Yeah. What do you say?
He says, when you have certain guys that don't want to buy in, it's hard.
Hell yeah. Get James Harden out of there, dude. Like if for us, for them, for everyone, for the product, for Tillman, like I mean, I get why Rafael Stone doesn't want to do it, but like it does seem to be ruining the vibes pretty badly for them. I just don't.
It's been a rough week or so for Tillman between the insurrection not being successful,
right,
and now the Rockets are a disaster. By the way, did we all just get fake Woj yesterday with the person who changed the thing that made it look like he resigned?
Yes, I got fake Woj pretty hard. I thought
I was literally getting in the car to go take my COVID test, and you texted me, dude, Trump resigned, and then I go on Twitter and I see the thing that said that like his term ended according to like the official State Department website.
And it's like, wait, and it's like the State Department doesn't actually have any effect on whether the president is the president or not.
Right. And so I just, I get in the car, I drive out to get my test, and I just figure, my phone's going to be blowing up if he resigns, like if that's real. And then I get my test, and then I look at my phone, and did we get fake Woj, or was it more like when somebody hacked Giannis's Twitter to ask for a trade to the Warriors over the summer?
Perhaps. I don't know. It's a smash of the two. I think it's like it was a hack / a fake Woj situation because they used the real website. So it was more like Giannis because they were using, it was a hack for sure. So it was, I guess, more like Giannis, but it was also happening on Twitter and people were talking about it like, OMG, what does this mean? And it was like, it didn't mean anything. So
I just want to salute all the brave Republican lawmakers that are now coming out in favor of voting to remove him from office.
Yes, very brave of you to do this now at literally the 11th hour, and when
it's just purely a symbolic thing.
Yeah, and literally nothing will be done, and we're 8 days away from him officially not being the president anymore, and it's like, who cares? I mean, it would be tight for him to be impeached because then he loses his severance pack or his retirement package and his security detail.
And he'd also lose the ability to ever run for public office again, or at least federal office, because then we wouldn't have to worry about him running in 4 years.
So like that would be tight, but like it's all, but like other than that, like it's like, you know, it would have been tight to do this earlier. But anyway, gosh, I'm trying to look at the Spurs have actually been playing quite well. I want to they are.
I have not watched any of the Spurs, so
I have seen 3 Spurs games because they have played the Lakers 3 times in the past week, basically, and they just beat the Lakers at home, and LaMarcus looked really good. DeRozan has been shooting the 3 extremely well to start the season. Keldon Johnson has been like a really nice story for them. He's starting at forward. He's this big forward, gets a lot of dunks, really athletic. They have their guards. I think, I mean, they're going to be, this is one of the reasons why I'm telling the Nuggets, like, they got to watch out, is that like the Spurs, I think, are going to be a really solid team. And I think they're maybe a little bit better defensively this season. They have just more, I think they just have more athleticism. And I think LaMarcus has fit in well with kind of that new identity that they found in the bubble of like being like a really kind of athletic team. And I think LaMarcus has kind of found his way to fit in. And I do think that they're going to be a problem for all these teams that I think, you know, we obviously wrote off the Spurs. I did. I had them.
I never took them seriously at all. I just assumed that they were going to be one of the bad teams. But no, I mean, I think it's just, you know, this is a cliche, but I think when Pop is your coach and you have decent players, like, I mean, obviously the Derek White injury hurts, but when you have good players and you have a good coach, like there's only just like there's like a base level of competency that you're going to have.
Yeah, and the rookie Vassell looks to be like pretty solid. He's been hitting his 3s. He's playing good defense. They have a lot of depth, and it's like they have just a lot. And now they also have some still, like LaMarcus still's got it. Like, I mean, he kicked Anthony Davis's ass the other night. Like he was balling, and so I think he still got it, and I think they really needed. They really needed that to be like a playoff team, I think. But if they stay healthy, I think they're going to be a real a threat to one of these playoff spots here in the West, because Denver's obviously struggling, and then Oklahoma City's playing better than expected. I think, to me, I did not expect them to be, you know, kind of in the mix where they are right now at 5-5.
I saw a ClutchPoints graphic yesterday that pointed out that the Thunder have a better record currently than Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, or James Harden's teams.
Oh man, God, the ClutchPoints gods, dude. They always just know what time it is. Like
I was in contact with somebody associated with that company yesterday.
Yes.
And if my COVID test had come back positive, there was within the realm of possibility that I would get one of those graphics that said COVID-19 plus with the floating virus particles and a picture of me on it. I was almost hoping that I was positive for COVID-19 just for the cloud.
Dude, hey, if you get your own ClutchPoints graphic with you as part of the graphic and not just an attribution, that's next level.
Is that worth getting COVID? Not many things are worth getting COVID, but I almost feel like that might be.
That I think that you're starting a dialogue at the very least. I also wanted. Speaking of dialogue, I've said it once on this podcast. I'll say it again. The Hornets need to start LaMelo and quit fucking around. This is insanity. They got to start the kid. He's
rookie of the year so far.
He is incredible. They are 6-5. They just beat the Hawks twice, which I'm so I was eating crow. I was eating hawk about how I thought the Hawks were going to be good, or how I thought the Hawks were going to be bad, and then they were good, and now they've been bad again. And this whole drama with Trae Young and John Collins and Clint Capella telling Trae Young to not become like James Harden and listen to your teammates and get your teammates involved. Whereas you have LaMelo, who gets his teammates involved effortlessly, plays great defense, is not afraid of the moment, just like Trae is on offense. But I just think it just seems more fun. It would be more fun to play with LaMelo. And I'm just here to say right now, give me LaMelo over Trae Young.
That is a dialogue. I'm not against it.
Even though he's coming off the bench, which is as insane as that is to say, I think he's better. Like I want, or at least I want, like whatever way you want to put it, I want LaMelo on my team over having Trae Young. Like, I just think that LaMelo, like the stuff that I'm already hearing about, like Trae Young, like not wanting to pass to his teammates and not listening to his teammates, be like, hey, maybe you should pass the ball more and we could get more involved and we could be a little bit better. Like, you don't have to do that with LaMelo. And even though he's like, LeVar has talked about having him start, and we all talk about having him start. I mean, I think that movement has become very, big now, but he has never complained. And
it's time for James Borrego to do the right thing.
Yeah, I really think so. I think Devontae Graham should come off the bench, and I think Rozier and Ball should be their starting backcourt. I just think it's just so easy to see that he's their, if not their best player. I think Hayward is still their best player, but he's easily their second best player already at, 11 games into the season. Maybe he's their best player. I mean, I think there's a real argument to be made.
It might be. I mean, I think at least by the, I don't know if he's their best. I mean, Gordon Hayward has been really, really good.
Yes, he has been. Like you hate to see it, but he has been. Hayward has been quite good. Like he is
galvanized by. We're on the free feed. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Yeah, we all know what you're saying though. We all know what you're thinking. I mean, he was getting his parlors off.
Shout out to the families of anybody on Parler, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, it's actually called Parlay.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you knew that.
I had no idea.
That's how it's pronounced. It's like a French word, which is hilarious because their whole thing is like being against like the elites.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, well, I guess whatever. Okay.
Shout out to the family of anybody who was associated with that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a shout out to their families. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I think this has been a good pod. It's been a while. We had a Patreon.
We had to bless the free family.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we gave a free episode out. We'll do another, of course, for the fam exclusive on Patreon later this week, as we always do. But we wanted
Cardi B is getting this next episode. David Guetta is getting this episode. Anjali World is getting this episode.
Yes, all of the influential people that we that influence our lives,
paying Patreon subscribers. So, as always, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. If you're not in the Patreon family, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers, $3 a month. You get an extra episode a week. And,
yes.
Premium
content where we let some real takes fly.
More you're gonna get. There are certain things we only discuss in family company.
Yes.
We there are certain, maybe even in this episode there are things we may have gotten into more deeply if we had been with the family, but we just felt like our free listeners, it had been a while since we'd given them an episode, so we just kind of felt like
it was the move. Yes, exactly. So, and I don't think did we have a free episode yet in 2021?
I don't believe so.
So I think we are also due in that respect as well. So thank you all for being patient and still listening with us. And please consider joining the family. We never are not doing that. We do one of those at least once a week, even if we're caught up doing a bunch of other stuff. We'll always do one for the family. So just just a heads up. If you're missing us, the easiest way to get us is $3 a month on Patreon.
And we post the free episodes on the Patreon feed also, so you only have to subscribe to one feed.
Yes.
Just to make it easier for people. You can, follow me on Twitter at Highkin. You can read my stuff at Bleacher Report. Erik, tell everybody where to check you out. I know you've occasionally done serious sports journalism in the paper of record, a.k.a. the Gray Lady, a.k.a. the New York Times, but, what do you got going on?
That's right. But yes, follow me on Twitter at Blazer Banter, where I do my Blazer Banter stuff, my Blazer Banter newsletter, blazerbanter@substack.com. Follow me on my other Twitter handle, Erik _Gundersen, ERIK _Gundersen, GUNDERSEN. And you can read my stuff where I'm writing every day at LeBronWire.usatoday.com.
All right. We will be back with you guys next week. Thanks for listening.